because let's show you how the Patriots put the beat down on the Steelers in advance to their 9th Super Bowl, 7th in the Brady-Belichick era. 36-17 is the final. Steelers and Pats facing off in the AFC Championship game for the first time since the 04-05 season. Tom Brady was fantastic, especially in the first half. He went 19 of 24 for 222 yards and 2 touchdowns, hooking up with wide receiver Chris Hogan on both of those scores. One of them included a 34-yard flea flicker that Brady and the Pats ran when he found Hogan wide open in the end zone. Hogan, who played 1 year of college football at Monmouth after being a lacrosse player at Penn State, has been cut by multiple NFL teams, picked up by the Patriots, and of course they turned him into a star. Had a career day with 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a Pats postseason record for single-game receiving yards. Julian Edelman made his typical impact on this game. He caught 8 passes for $118 and a score. After all was said and done, Brady was 32 of 42 for 384 yards and 3 touchdowns. For the Steelers, it was already going to be hard enough, but it got even harder after Le'Veon Bell left in the first quarter with a groin injury. Now, D'Angelo Williams did play well in his stead as Williams ended an 84-yard drive in the second quarter by plunging in from 5 yards out. Le'Veon, his successor in the backfield, D'Angelo Williams, was held to 51 yards receiving and 34 yards rushing, so he gave you 85 yards off the bench and a TD. Ben Roethlisberger threw for a touchdown and an interception. Antonio Brown was able to snag 7 passes for 77 yards, but that clearly was not enough, as Brady, Chris Hogan, Belichick, and the Pats win 36-17. And now for our initial take on this Pats-Falcons Super Bowl matchup. With these offenses, these quarterbacks, the way they're playing, that scoreboard in H-Town is going to be lit. D-Mac, take us through your thoughts of what Brady has done here. You mentioned it, no Rob Gronkowski. He's got Julian Edelman, Chris Hogan to work with, got a backfield of 3 running backs he can go to at any time. Yeah. There's never really, outside of Gronk, a superstar on that offense with him. Randy Moss, those couple of years, it's just Tom Brady in other parts, and all he does is win.
Yeah, and that tells you how good Tom Brady is. Now, granted, we don't need to reiterate that because proof is in the pudding. We've seen time and time again this guy go out and just play lights out. But one thing I want you guys to pay attention to, the storyline offensively for the New England Patriots. Some offenses, they have their first 18 plays scripted. So it doesn't matter what defensive scheme they see, these are the plays they will run. I'm not quite sure the Patriots had that going on today. But one thing that I saw early, something you probably saw, Tyler, also, you guys that watched this ball game, how many times did you see the New England Patriots offense either motion to an empty set where you have no back in the backfield or line up in an empty set? So what they did was the aggressive nature that we've seen Pittsburgh become over the last 8-9 ball games where they had 30-plus sacks. They took that away from them because every time the New England Patriots came out in an empty formation, it was a vanilla zone concept that the Pittsburgh Steelers ran. And they only rushed 3 defenders. So their best edge rushers, Dupree, James Harrison, they were in coverage. And one thing about James Harrison, he's a very, very skillful player. But if he has a weakness, it's in space trying to cover. And how many times did you see Tom Brady attack that side? Understanding that, you know what, based on our prep for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, anytime we get into this formation, empty, no backs in the backfield with 5 wide receivers, they're going to run a zone. And he knew exactly where to go with the football. That's how they started the game. That's how basically they finished the game. And that got the ball rolling. And that's a great way to prepare for something that you anticipate seeing. And Pittsburgh just didn't have an answer for that, especially early on.
That's what Brady and Belichick do best. Preparation, anticipation of how you're going to play, what you think we're going to do, and then we have the counter for that. If we're going to negate that edge rush of guys like Dupree and Harrison, let's go 5 wide, empty back sets, drop them into zone. You're only rushing 3 against our 5 linemen. That means Tom Brady has 4-5 seconds to pick apart a zone defense. I'm sure Tom Brady can do that in his sleep.
And what they did was they put speed in the slot. When I say speed, a wide receiver, he was in the slot. You saw a guy like Deion Lewis or James White or the fullback motion out to be the number 1 wide receiver. Guess who's covering the number 1 guy? It's usually a corner and a zone concept. So therefore, you have a guy that's not used to covering speed like a linebacker covering a guy like Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, or Hogan, and guess where the mismatch is? Right in the slot.
Create that mismatch.
So if you're going to allow Tom Brady to have all the time in the world because you're only rushing 3 guys, he's going to eventually find the open wide receiver.
He did it all day long.
It was easy for him to do what he did today. I mean, they averaged almost 9 yards per pass attempt. That's almost a first down every down. And get this, though, when you look at what they did running the football, nothing. They averaged 2.1 yards per carry.
Wasn't needed.
And still won the game based on them basically being one-dimensional.